Welcome into the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com for Saturday, March 30th, Florida Derby Day at Gulfstream Park. And we'll take a look at the late pick four there, which includes a couple of graded stakes. I'm Tom Leach, along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's Director of Wagering Development. We'll start with the stakes, Jim, in the 13th race. It's the Grade 2 Pan American Marathon on the Turf, 1.5 miles for 4-year-olds and up. You got a Chad Brown in there that's probably going to be pretty heavily favored, I would think. Where did you land in the Pan American?
I went away from Chad Brown. I had him circle with focus group, obviously, and you've got to include that horse when you get to the pick four. But I like Solio here. This horse has been extremely consistent, been very unlucky. Got beat by Zulu Alpha last time out in the McKnight at Gulfstream. Caught a yielding turf course that he didn't mind it, but he was also stuck down in the one hole, and this is a better draw for his running style out in the 8. Loses Ortiz to Hernandez, so that's a downside. But I just like this horse, and I think he's very consistent at the distance. He's 4 for 5 in the money. Like I said, been very unlucky. Focus group has certainly beat him. He beat him back in July at Saratoga. But I'm going to take Solio here. Hopefully, get a little bit of price on him. I like Maker's other horse, Bigger Picture, with Gaffleone on the outside. Focus group is going to be probably 8 to 5, so you got to include him in the pick four. And Kennesaw for Arnold Delacour came out of the McKnight, didn't run that well, got checked at the start, just kind of had a rough trip. But if you go back and draw a line through that one, the races at Belmont, Arlington, and even Keeneland and Elkhorn here last spring puts him right there. So I think that he's got a shot at the price as well. Delacour is a very underrated trainer with a 23% strike rate on limited numbers. But those are my 4 top choices. I would take Solio, and I would do an exacta box with focus group and Solio.
I'm on the same 4 horses. I ended up taking focus group for the win. Just Chad Brown off a layoff horse won. You look at the last 3 starts, there were 2 wins and then a solid effort in the final start of the year. And it looked like this horse really got good towards the end of the year and looks like a strong work pattern for the start off the layoff. And so for all those reasons, I landed on focus group. I had Bigger Picture next, just slightly over Solio. I thought those 2 were really close. Canizar would be my next one. And then if you went one deeper, I think Melmich was the one I went to, but I thought one of those top 4 kind of looked like a pretty strong group there, that one of the winner will come from one of those 4. The 14th race is the Grade 1 Florida Derby. 3-year-olds going 1 mile and an 8th here. And you've got the horses that ran 1-2 in the Fountain of Youth, Code of Honor, and Bourbon War, the horse that was the big favorite, Hidden Scroll for that race in here. You got Maximum Security getting tested for class off some impressive runs. I ended up going to Hidden Scroll. I like that last race in the Fountain of Youth. 4th beaten only 3 behind, just caught up in a really fast pace and had every reason to throw in the towel more than he did to only get beat 3 lengths. I thought gave some legitimacy to that big buyer figure in the first start in the slop. And it looks like from the workouts and what I've read of the workouts that Bill Mott is trying to teach this horse to rate a little bit. And at least from the workout reports, that seems to be looking good. So if this horse can show a little ability to rate, being in the one hole is not great for a horse that needs to rate a little bit. I would acknowledge that. But I'm going to try Hidden Scroll, just, again, thinking that last race kind of legitimized the previous one. And if you are really firmly believe that 104 buyer figure in the debut, then maybe this horse is that good. So Hidden Scroll for me, Code of Honor, Bourbon War are the other ones I use in Maximum Security. I'll use those 4 in the pick 4, but I'm going Hidden Scroll on the win. How about you?
Well, we're on the same 4, but in different order, so same as the Pan American. I think Hidden Scroll is compromised by the one hole. If he's trying to learn to win the Kentucky Derby and they wanted to rate this horse, this is not the day to do it. You've got 0 speed in the 2, 3, 4, and 5 hole. A little bit of speed outside that. Maximum Security is obviously going to go to the lead off that, stretching out for the sprint. I don't think Hidden Scroll has a choice. I think Castellano has to gun him, and I think that might catch up with him at 1 mile and 8. So I'm going to think that the one hole was a big disadvantage for him. I think they'd much rather have been the 5 or 6. And I'm going to take Bourbon War on top here. I don't put a lot of stock in galloped out better than the winner, but I did think that he was running better than Code of Honor at the end of that race, and I think Bourbon War will relish the 1.8 stretch out. Code of Honor has also got to be considered. Hidden Scroll, if he gets an easy lead, and if Maximum Security doesn't go with him, he could go all the way. There's no doubt. Horse gets brave even at 1.8 and so if he gets an easy lead, you can throw all that out the window. I think Maximum Security is going to have a hard time getting 1.8, but I would put him in there just because of Jason Service's remarkable record at the Gulfstream meet. So that's the same 4. I just got Bourbon War on top for a win bet.
The pick 4 starts with a couple of allowance races. So go back to the 11th and take me through your pick 4 ticket.
I had a really hard time here getting a single. I wound up with no singles. I'm winding up spending a lot more money than I normally give out on this show, but with a contentious card and a big Grade 1 race that I can't really cut down below 4, I've got to go with like a $120 ticket, but I can tell you how to cut it down if you don't want to spend that much. First race is a 7-furlong allowance optional claimer for 4 and up, which has never won $10,000 other than. So it's optional $25,000 claimer. And I really didn't have a strong opinion here. I think Rock Dock for Castellano and Brian Lynch off a long layoff since June has a shot. I can make a case for Restoring Hope for the eternal strong Jason Service. Fast Pass for Peter Walder. 7 furlongs ought to be right down this horse's alley. Has run really well at this distance the last 2 times out. Articulator for Jorge Navarro, again, in a good trainer percentage-wise at Gulfstream, and Candy Graham on the outside for James Jerkins, the 11. So 4, 5, 8, 9, 11. In the 12th race is allowance optional claimer at the $62,000 level, and the Space Mountain, the 4 for Mike Maker, the 8 horse on the outside, Battle of Blenheim for Todd Pletcher, really needed the last race, and I think if this horse gets back to his races at Aqueduct at Belmont last year, he might be the one where you can narrow this one down. So if you really like Pletcher and Saez on this horse, Saez is one of the leading riders at Gulfstream. I think you can narrow this one down. I'm going to use Second Mate, the 11 as well, and the 9, Brucarita for Mike Matz. Needs some pace to run at. So there's 4 horses deep here, but I could make a case for cutting my ticket way down and singling the 8 here. But I'm going to go 4, 8, 9, 11. And then the horses we talked about in the 13th and 14th, I'm going to go 3 deep in the Pan American using focus group, the 1, and then the 8 and the 9, which is Solio and Bigger Picture. So go 3 deep there. And then the 4 horses we talked about in the Florida Derby, Hidden Scroll, the 1, Bourbon War, the 4, Maximum Security, the 7, and the 9, Code of Honor. So my ticket's $120. So recap, it's 4, 5, 8, 9, 11, with 4, 8, 9, 11, with 1, 8, 9, with 1, 4, 7, 9. That's $120. If you single the 8 horse in the second leg, that cuts it down to $30. And I think Battle of Blenheim is a legitimate single there if you discount the last race.
And I was trying to find a single. I started out with focus group, and then I'm thinking, that's going to be single and a horse that's could be close to even money, and that just didn't make a lot of sense for a pick 4. So the horse, kind of horse you ought to try to be able to beat if you're going to try to hit a pick 4 ticket. So I ended up singling the 8 in the second leg that you mentioned. Looked at singling Restoring Hope. Going into the Chad Service barn, 40% with newcomers, 43% off long layoffs. But because of the long layoff, I'm going to take the 5 on top there in the first leg, but I'm also going to use 1, 3, 4, and 8. So 1, 3, 4, 5, 8, 5 horses there. Second leg, going to single the 8 Battle of Blenheim for Pletcher. I like the works off the second start for the Pletcher barn, and then has worked 3 times since then and has won on this course too. So it's a somewhat less than fully confident single, but to keep the ticket affordable, I'll go there. Then I'll go the 4 I mentioned in the Pan American, the 1, 4, 8, 9. And then in the Florida Derby, I'm going to go 4 deep, the 1, 4, 7, 9. So that's 5 times 1 times 4 times 4. So that's $40 for 50 cents. And I don't see this one paying a huge price on Saturday. So I don't think this is a pick four that I'd want to invest a ton of money in. So I'll be a little more conservative with my ticket and try to single the Battle of Blenheim and take a stand there in the 12th race. Best of luck with your wagers. There's a bunch of stakes races on the card at Gulfstream on Saturday. Don't forget that there's an early handicapping opportunity with the races from Dubai, including the World Cup. So you've got that early in the morning U.S. time. And then you've got the Florida Derby Day card and some other great racing around the country, along with all the hoops. So it's a great sports weekend. Enjoy it through KeenelandSelect.com. And this has been the In the Money Podcast.